Hello and welcome to the Tea and Tights 2022 end of year Brit Wres Awards, where we'll be discussing our top 5 picks for a variety of categories, including Best Male, Best Women's, Breakout Stars, who to look out for in 2023, promotions, matches, shows, and more, all on this episode. Of course, we are Tea and Tights, the Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodyslam.net and the Jonas Podcasting Network. I am your host, the Great British Attack, Mr. Andrew Morandy to most, joined as always by the great, beardless, big Daddy Dan.
I think this is the first time I've been naked on Tea and Tights.
It's a very unusual look,
It's a different look.
No beard, no mohawk, no long hair. It's
Dress for the job you want.
Looking very blonde in a way as well on top. So yes, how was your Christmas?
Well, I've been out shoplifting today, hence the new look. No, Christmas. Christmas was chaotic. Christmas was insane. Christmas finished for me at 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve. Well, 10 o'clock after I delivered the van back. 10 o'clock on Christmas Eve after doing food deliveries. And basically, I've shut my door. I'm not going out again till New Year's. I have a large supply of whiskey. I have a good selection of nuts. And I'm not going anywhere.
Have you nailed yourself in with some boards?
I've literally turned into Father Jack. I'm just sat in my chair with my bottle of whiskey. Fuck off! Take!
Excellent. I myself, I had a lovely Christmas. I got some lovely Christmas presents, including 2 books on the 70s and 80s of British wrestling, literally going through results of every sort of like world of sport show.
Awesome.
So it's a big read, but somewhat interesting so far. I saw that fantastic gift your missus got you with Legion of Doom, Doomsday Destroying Rick Male, and with Eddie Edmondson in his corner in their bottomed wavefronts. I love it. I think that's one of the best presents you could ever see, to be honest.
From the fantastic Jim will paint it. Yeah, she got me that print. And if you look closely, you'll notice that Eddie's legs have only just been sewn back on as well.
Oh god, yes, excellent. Just truly brilliant. We hope everybody out there has had a fantastic year. It's been a long, turbulent ups and downs, bumps along the road. Sometimes things aren't black and white year for British wrestling.
Mm-hmm. But on the upside, no lockdowns.
No lockdowns, yeah. And we've had plenty of amazing shows because picking out this list, myself and Big Daddy and were discussing it was very difficult. There were lots of great matches. There were lots of great shows. There were lots of amazing performers. The British wrestling scene, if some people want to say it's dead and don't want to go to it anymore,
they're fucking stupid.
But let them get on with it. Let them believe it's dead. It just leaves more room for new fans who can go in and say, wow, this product is amazing. Because there are just some amazing wrestlers out there and some great promotions. And I think it's time to really get into it. So starting off with our top 5 male superstars.
Yes.
So how we're gonna do this is we're gonna go down from 5 to 1. We're gonna do it each time. So I will do my number 5. Dan will do his number 5. We'll give some reasons behind our choices, and then we'll go on to number 4, 3, 2. Some honorable mentions if they have not been mentioned so far, and we still believe deserve some recognition for thing. And then finally, we will discuss our number 1, and then we'll talk about who's right and who's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Which we all know is I'll be right and Dan will be wrong.
I'm not going to argue with that.
No?
No, I'm just going to let you say that you're right and I'm wrong.
Oh, terrible. Well, no fun in that. Okay, so starting with, shall I go with my number 5 first then?
Go on then.
Robbie X. Robbie X. Robbie X.
He's
And the
good.
reasons behind this, he finally captured that Pro Cruiserweight Championship. He is the king of the Cruiserweights. He's one of the best unsigned Cruiserweight junior wrestlers in the world. He's had an amazing year. He did win the BWR Heavyweight Championship at one point, and of course, he also won the RevPro UK Super J Cup. Other than that, he's just had great matches all across the country, no matter where he's been or who he's been wrestling for.
I can't argue with that. I think he's had an absolutely phenomenal year. And he might turn up in my top 5 later on.
Ooh, look forward to it. You're number 5 then.
Gene Money. Gene has had a year where he may not have held a top championship, but
what are you talking about? He's the G Money champion of G Money, the most prestigious title in all of Brit Wres.
Well, there is that one. But can you name a Brit Wres company that he hasn't wrestled for? Gene has been everywhere this year. He has worked incredibly hard. He has got over everywhere he has been. He is mostly universally loved.
And even where he's universally hated, he's still universally loved.
He is. He's had some absolutely brilliant intergender matches. He's had storylines that have gone all the way through. He can tell a story. He can have a match. He can do everything. I think he deserves to be in the top 5.
Fair play. Fair play. Excellent. Who is your number 4 pick?
Well, conveniently enough, we've just discussed him, Robbie X.
So we don't really need to go over the same reasons which I gave pretty much, yeah?
Very much so. He's absolutely brilliant. He needs to go to America. Somebody sign him.
So my pick for number 4 in male Brit Wres is Chris Ridgway. He's again, he won the Strong Style Super 16 for Progress, obviously fantastic. He became the Progress heavyweight champion. Although again he had one successful defense, but we'll gloss over that. He became the Wrestle Carnival Pure Wrestling champion. He went over to Pro Wrestling Noah and did extremely well for them, capturing their Super Junior Tag Team Championship alongside Yoshinobu Agawa, and they had just he is my number 4 pick.
He's my honourable mention.
Ooh.
One of my 2 honourable mentions, and the other one will probably shock you as well.
Ooh.
My number 3.
Shall I go with my? Oh, yeah, you go 3.
Ricky Knight Jr.
Ooh. Okay.
Now, for me, he has had an incredible time in Rev Pro. Even with the injuries he's sustained and the time he's had to have off due to family commitments, he has been all over the show. And the other thing for me this year is he's expanded more. He's gone to more different companies as well. He's still an incredibly young man. He's still got so much more to give. And I do think next year we might lose him to the States. I think we might end up having him as our surprise Brit that goes abroad. RKJ is my number 3.
Okay. My number 3 is Spike Trevay.
Nice choice.
He, of course, he is the focal point of Progress Wrestling right now. I don't think there's any 2 ways about it. He is the focal point since dethroning Cara Noir, stripping him of his wings, making him Tom Dawkins once again, to stealing the Progress Heavyweight title, to defeating hometown boys in their hometowns. he's had a phenomenal year, and he is one of the best heels in the business. He's definitely the best heel in Europe. He possibly could be the best heel right now in the world. I don't think there's many really, truly, massively better than him. There's some people who I believe, right up there with him, or maybe just a little bit better than him, but he's definitely one of the best heels in the world. And yeah, I think he's had a great year. I shall go with my number 2 pick.
I'm not going to argue with that. Go for your number 2.
My number 2 pick is Michael OJMO Oku. And, that's quite surprising for me. I've never been his biggest. I'm not the one that sings Michael Oku from the tops of the sheds. But there's absolutely no denying how fantastic a year he had, in particular with RevPro UK, from holding the tag team championships to facing Will Ospreay, getting a 5-star match with Will Ospreay. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He is the OJMO. He is Michael Oku, and he is fully deserving to be in my number 2 spot.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one.
Ooh, it's going in there with a kill shot.
I love OJMO. I think he's brilliant. I think he's incredibly talented. I think he deserves to be top 5, possibly. But it's his exclusivity. He pretty much exclusively wrestles for Rev Pro. Now, that's not a bad thing at all. That means it keeps him fresh and healthy. But he doesn't have the same kind of coverage as a lot of the other wrestlers who travel all over the UK doing what they do, all over Europe, all over the world. I know he's got Japanese matches coming up next year, and it could well be a breakout year. We'll have to see if that comes up later. And in the
States, he had a couple of matches over in the States. He had one match with North Wrestling NCL this year where he faced Liam Slater for the heavyweight championship. Of course, he's been a big part of Purpose Wrestling. But I will give you, RevPro UK and Purpose have been his main homes. He, I think, still works WrestleForce a lot for WrestleForce, who obviously very small promotion, Saturday family shows.
It's all London-centric.
And where else? Creation Pro Wrestling, obviously, he's made a couple of appearances for Creation Pro Wrestling as well over in Cardiff, Wales. I can see, but he's also gone over to Italy.
You know what? When you put
OTTT.
him next to my number 2,
yeah,
and you compare them as like for like wrestlers, see where you stand here.
Go for it.
Number 2, Man Like DeReese.
Man Like DeReese went everywhere. I'll give you.
Yeah,
but he didn't main event the biggest promotion in the UK. He didn't have a 5-star match with Mr. Will Ospreay.
He did not have an opportunity against Will Ospreay. No,
he did not. So not getting
an opportunity. I think he's headlined a Progress show before.
He has
as part of a tag team, but I believe.
Possibly not my number 1 promotion of the UK.
That's true.
Probably actually a big a big hint of why he in fact would not be. But RevPro UK, who I do consider to be the number 1 promotion in the UK, I think Man Like DeReese has had a massive year. He's gone and been around and gone everywhere. He's become the Slam Masters heavyweight champion. He's become the Kamikaze Live champion. Or is it? He might be actually the full Kamikaze Pro champion. He became the Wrestle Carnival champion right at the end, Slam Masters. He held tag team gold with Progress and with North Wrestling NCL.
Yep.
He's had a massive year. There's absolutely no denying
his match with Cardona at TNT.
But when I look at other people on the list and I look at the matches that Michael Oku has had against the likes of Aussie Open, against the likes of RKJ, and Slice of Robbie X and Chris Bridgeways, all in Rev Pro, mainly all in Rev Pro UK. He had that incredible, he carried Kieran Lacey to what would I consider a 4-star matchup. And, you know, Kieran Lacey's a young lad. He probably carried him to his best match. I'm desperate to see the North Wrestling NCL match he had with Thing. But tag team champion for Rev Pro UK, cruiserweight champion
for Progress,
cruiserweight champion for Rev Pro UK, headline in Rev Pro UK on more than one occasion, match against Minoru Suzuki, match against
Cardona.
But, you know, and then you've got guys like Luke Jacobs, Kez Evans, Mark Haskins, Dan Maloney. I just, you know, man like Darius made my breakout. I don't tell you where he's made my breakout star of the year, but he made my breakout star of the year, but he did not make my top star of the year.
I think we're going to have a good argument about our number one then.
And who's your number one then?
Luke Jacobs.
And my number one is RKJ, Ricky Knight Jr. 5-star match against Will Ospreay. Became the heavyweight champion for Rev Pro UK. Has just won the Natural Progression Series for Progress Wrestling. Is the BWR heavyweight champion of the world right now. Is of course champion in his own WAW family-run promotion. Great matches all across the country. It's hard to look past RKJ. He has, as you mentioned, he has been everywhere and champion. And due to the fact that, you know, he's held top belts in big promotions, is why certainly I'd have him higher than man like Darius.
That is fair enough.
Who I love and is in my breakout stars.
That is fair enough. I can't argue with that.
And so is Luke Jacobs is also one of my 5 breakout. Again, will not tell you what number he got.
For me, Luke Jacobs has had an absolutely astounding year. Now, at the end of 2021, Luke Jacobs was known as a tag team wrestler.
Yeah.
That is what he did. He and Ethan Allen were the young guns. They were incredible. They were on fire. And Ethan Allen, unfortunately, had this injury. Luke Jacobs went out as a solo star. And bloody hell. I mean, what a year he's had. He has had, some people just go, oh, yeah, banger after banger after banger. Yeah, he did. But oh my God, everything was hard hitting. Everything told a story. Everything was thuggish, brutish, nasty. He
won the Atlas tournament, became the Atlas champion, held the Atlas championship for a long time.
Atlas champion.
Became the Rev Pro UK Cruiserweight champion as well during that period. Had blinded matches with Francesco Aguirre and Robbie X, and more recently with likes of Dan Maloney. Absolutely 100%. If it just hadn't been for some of these other guys for me, I think he is in my breakout stars of the year. I'm not saying his position yet. And yeah, he almost broke into my top 5 for Thing, and I was just like, no. So I put him in my things. Probably a good guess to where he did finish in my breakout stars of the year.
So what's an interesting one for me is who we both missed off.
Who's that?
Cara Noir.
Yes, no, Cara.
We were both completely all over last year.
Yeah, in fact, we should have mentioned our honourable mentions before doing our number one. But yeah, Cara Noir, Kez Evans, Dan Maloney, Mark Haskins, all have fantastic years for different. Mike Kirby as well, all have fantastic years for different promotions across. Possibly we didn't see as much of them as we did of other stars. I know Mark Haskins obviously very much in OTT. Dan Maloney's TNT champion for the whole year. Kez Evans becoming the ICW champion. Any other honourable mentions on top of the ones I just mentioned?
Possibly Mr. Hendry. Because he did do a lot in the UK before he went abroad.
He did. Oh, so the men's, it was the top male star of the year in Brit Wres. It was more controversial than I thought it would be. But well, so you didn't even have Chris Ridgway in yours either.
No, you see, I recognise everything that he's done, but the problem I've got with Chris Ridgway is I'm starting to see him from a Stephen Southern point of view. Okay, when you see Ridgway live, he is exceptional, but he doesn't have a personality that makes me want to go out and see him. I don't see him as a heel who I want to see beaten up. I respect him as a technical wrestler, but I don't see him as a babyface because there's no kind of peril because he can decimate everybody.
See, my thing for him is he should be he was in Progress when he won that Super Strong Style 16, when he beat the crap out of everyone, absolutely blistered them to the point of literally making them pass out or knocking them out. Then he placed the chair over Mr. Warren Banks, didn't kiss the mat, didn't say I'm the 2016 winner, went, put his belt over him, sat down on the chair, legs over Warren Banks, and was just like, what else did you expect? I'm Chris Ridgway. As a silent killer heel who does horrible, nasty things to some people during their matches, including basically just beating the living shit out of them. And then you have underdogs fight him. He relies on having a really great underdog.
He relies on having a great underdog, and I'll tell you who he needs. Oh my God, I'll tell you who he needs. He needs Gideon Gray.
Yeah, he needs a mouthpiece. I would give Chris Ridgway a mouthpiece. I say which he did have in Rev Pro UK, but he hasn't competed much in Rev Pro UK this year, as I say. But yeah, just due to all of his accomplishments, I have to have Chris Ridgway in my top 5. Right, women. Top 5 Brit Wres women's star.
Yeah, now, where are we?
I'll let you start this time around with number 5.
That's very sweet of you. I chose for my top 5 Brit Wres women. Number 5, Ivy.
Okay.
Ivy has been all over the UK, north to south, has been a very good heel everywhere they go. They are believable, they are hateable, they are family friendly, or they are hardcore. I think Ivy belongs in the top 5.
Okay. My number 5 is the beautiful bruiser, ICW Women's Champion, Molly Spartan. I mean, she's the ICW Women's Champion right now. She is absolutely killing it as part of ICW as their top of the pile right now. She's also, of course, also had fantastic year alongside her She-Wolves tag team partner in TNT Extreme, recently capturing the TNT tag team title, women's tag team title, although last year they also became the men's tag team champion. Also performances in North Wrestling NCL, Iron Girders, which is a new promotion over there in Scotland, the Wrestling Experience Scotland, Discovery Wrestling, she's British Championship Wrestling, and all the way over in the Rings of Europe as well. So yeah, fair play to her. I think she is an amazing performer. So she was my number 5 for Brit Wres Women's Star of the Year. My number 4.
Go on.
Lizzie Evo.
Yeah.
She went over to NXT UK. She didn't go over to NXT UK as a jobber, which I was very pleased with. Very great to see the fact that they didn't just job her out. She became the muscle for Xia Brookside. She was, of course, long reigning champion with TNT Extreme tag team titles. And then she's just been pretty much everywhere this year. Everywhere you go, you will see Lizzie Evo wrestling typically in a top spot.
I agree with that, and that's why she's higher up my list.
Lizzie Evo is my number 4. Who is your number 4?
Kanji.
Angie.
Kanji, again, has been here, there, and everywhere, has been holding belts, has been kicking all of the arse. She's had a good 2022.
She has. She really, really has. Obviously became the Progress champion. Recently lost her Southside Championship to Danny Luna at Rev Pro UK.
How long has she held that belt?
I'm trying to work out. I think she's only been on Rev Pro UK like 3 times this year to possibly to have defended it. So I'm just gonna.
Yeah, but I think I remember her actually winning it.
Yeah, Rev Pro UK. She had 5 matches on Rev Pro UK, and I'm assuming 3 of them. Yes, 3 of them were for the Southside Women's Championship. Most recently losing it to Danny Luna at Uprising. No, I can't deny she is an amazing competitor. She has had a really good year, but the person who defeated her for the Progress Women's title became my number 3 women's champion. Women's wrestler, Brit Wres. It is the superstar, Lara Austin. She has reinvigorated herself this year. She's just become the Progress champion, and she's fucking everywhere.
She's also my number 3.
And she is Daily Star's favorite wrestler as well. So we'll throw that out there. She is the number 3 for both of us. Nice.
She is indeed. Love Lana Austin. Yep. Absolutely awful person. Love her to bits.
Right.
My number 2, we've already mentioned. So I'm going to jump my number 2 in here, which was Lizzie Evo.
Ooh, nice. My number 2 was Emerson Jane.
Ooh.
She ranked extremely high in the PWI 500. She has been a lot of places this year. She challenged she was part of the Pure title debut match against Chris Ridgway, and gave Chris Ridgway a bloody good match, one of the best matches I would have seen that year. She won the Body Slam Women's Championship over in Denmark. She held titles in Discovery, she held titles in Pro Wrestling Eve, and she held titles in OTT. Most of which she held early in the year and lost throughout the year. But still, she held all those titles. She had a fantastic year as well. And she is my number 2. Right, nice. You're number 1.
I think it's going to be the same as your number 1. Do you want to say it together? 3, 2, 1.
Alex Windsor.
Alex Windsor.
Yeah. The best Sunshine women's wrestler in the world.
Yep. There's no arguing with it. Alex Windsor can do everything. Alex Windsor is phenomenal. Alex Windsor deserves to be absolutely everywhere. And as you can tell by the fact that we both chose Alex Windsor as our number 1, we can both recognize the fact that she is, irrelevant of male or female, the best unsigned British wrestler out there.
Yeah, Rev Pro UK Women's Champion, Pro Wrestling Eve champion, international champion. She held the Tokyo Joshi Pro International Princess Championship, Wrestle Carnival's Women's Championship. Yeah, she's just so bloody good as well. Everything she does. So yeah, 100%.
I really hope that she turns out to be the surprise tag team partner that AEW are going on about. I know everyone says it's going to be Sasha Banks, but I wouldn't be disappointed if it was Alex Windsor. I know that most of the United States would, but I would be quite happy if it was Alex Windsor.
Yeah, Storm, and the partnership's there.
Yeah.
Certainly there. I could, definitely see that'd be great. Right, some honorable mentions: Laura Di Matteo, Charlie Morgan, Jetta, I had Kanji in my honorable mentions. Alexa's Falcon. Any else you would like to mention?
Casey.
Casey, yes. She probably would have gone much higher if she hadn't been injured for most of the year. But when she was back out wrestling, she was bloody amazing.
Session Moth.
Yeah, was lost because it's like, where are the big matches for Session Moth? And so that was right. Brit Wres. Oh, do you want to do tag teams first? Yes, we'll do tag teams first. Super duper. I'll let you kick it off.
Number 5 is the She-Wolves.
Nice.
Because they have held every belt they've gone for, pretty much. Be it male, be it female, they cannot. If you stand in front of them, they will knock you down. Even if they don't win, they will knock you down. They are a unit. They can work together. They can work individually. They are absolutely fantastic. I love the She-Wolves.
My number 5, Destination Everywhere. I think
as long as it's Rev Pro.
Pretty much as long as it's Rev Pro, yes. Some purpose as well, but again, you know, and despite the fact that they also have broken up now as well, they had
the good things for them.
They had those massively fantastic, incredible tag team matches during the Great British Tag League, in particular against Aussie Goddamn Open, but also great matches against the Velocities, who also came via Australia. And yeah, they were just my number 5 pick. Destination Everywhere.
I think you are wrong to have them in your top 5. That is my personal opinion. I am actually going to stand by that one. I think you're wrong to have given them top 5 space.
Maybe. Number 4, the Smoking Aces.
Ooh, I like the Smoking Aces choice.
Smoking Aces. They started the year well with Progress as champions. They held the belts for a considerable amount of time. They were one of the best tag teams. They became the Pro Wrestling Chaos Tag Team Champions, Southwest Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And they're just bloody good. And the fact that they only started teaming together last year just shows you exactly really how good they are. And Charlie Sterling, Nick Riley, despite the fact, as I say, they might have disappeared off the main, but they have been Pro Wrestling Chaos for and as their tag team champions, or the Knights of Chaos. So
they're well worth being in there. They are a fantastic tag team. I've gone for the 8-7 here. I think the 8-7 have had a cracking year. I think they have got the right number of members. I think they bring them in well. They bring them out well. I think it just flows in. Love the 8-7.
8-7. Why not? That's obviously Alexander Roth and
Big Wavy.
Warren Banks as well at the beginning of the year. Obviously, he did pick up injury. Probably why he hasn't featured in it lists. They've recently
he might turn up later.
They've recently added Remy Atunji and Levi Muir to their ranks as well. So be interesting to see how they get on as Soft Pro as well, where I think they're going to have a big year next year.
I think you're right.
My number 3 were the Greedy Souls. Big dudes from Wales, the Man of Stone, Danny Jones, and the workhorse, or the big Welsh bear that is Brendan White. They've had a phenomenal year, and recently especially they've just, you know, skyrocketed, becoming the Rev Pro UK tag team champions. But they also challenge for ICW titles, they challenge for Progress titles, they challenge for titles in Pro Wrestling Chaos, in TNT Extreme Wrestling. In fact, they're the new number 1 contenders after winning the tag team tag wars. Yeah, Greedy Souls. Brilliant team.
Good call. Can't argue with that. I've also crossed a border for mine. I've gone for Kings of the North.
I've gone with Kings of the North at number 2.
Oh, should we both discuss Kings of the North for a minute then?
Yes, Kings of the North, ICW champions at the beginning of the year, held those belts for a considerable amount of time, held championships for OTT, have been everywhere, pretty much every big promotion, bar Rev Pro UK. But yeah, again, an outstanding tag team, Damien Corvin and Bonesaw, just two phenomenal big
They
dudes to
can
just beat the
wrestle,
crap
they
out of you.
can brawl, they can do it all.
Yeah,
They can even go hardcore, which I do enjoy.
indeed.
I'm really interested in them because my number 2 is Lycos Gym,
Nice pick, nice pick.
which would tend to suggest that Lycos Gym haven't made your top 5.
They haven't made my top 5.
Wow. The shitty little wolves
The
didn't
shitty
impress
little
you enough
wolves.
this year.
I love the shitty little wolves, but when compared to the other teams that I'm possibly about to mention as my number 1, as well as some of the other teams that hit my honourable mentions, including Lycos Gym, who did hit my honourable mentions, I just don't feel they did enough for me to justify they have been everywhere, but on kayfabe big wins, they haven't had many this year. They possibly deserve another few more. But
Okay.
till then. So I'm guessing we probably agreed on the number 1s, and you're probably surprised that I did pick them at my number 1s, but I cannot deny them of this. It is the Sunshine Machine.
Yeah.
They do rule. I'm sure my missus probably hates me for putting them here, but I cannot deny the fact that they have been Progress champions, Rev Pro UK champions, have had lots of great matches against huge varieties of teams. And for that reason, I begrudgingly put them in my number 1 spot. I can't deny them the fact that how well they've done that year.
They have had the best year. They are the best tag team of the year. There's no two ways about it. Anyone that wants to at us and explain your reasons for your being wrong, you're very welcome to. Sunshine Machine have had the best year for 2022.
Yeah, maybe Greedy Souls, but other than that, no.
Yeah.
Greedy Souls are the Kings of the North, but no, I can't really. Among my other honourable mentions were Aussie Open. I just didn't feel they had enough matches in the UK. They hit my bare minimum, which was going to be 12. They must have competed in 12, which would equate to at least 1 match per month of the year. But they did have that minimum of 12, but I just didn't think they had enough when compared to some of the other teams that obviously we mentioned. But Boisterous Behaviour, Man Like Doris and Leon Slater, 0121, Man Like Doris and Dan Maloney. And anyone else?
Any combination of the CPF.
Okay. Yeah, fair play. As you know, there's not maybe any NXT UK guys, but it's because obviously they only really joined the Brit Wres ranks towards the end of the year. So
the end of October, really, by the time they were allowed to start wrestling.
Exactly. So not much that we can do.
It might be there in our ones to watch.
Could possibly. Breakout superstars. So Brit Wres Breakout superstar males. Who was your number 5?
My number 5 is a they, and it's a shame on A. I think they've had a fantastic breakout year. They've done brilliant work up at ICW. They've started to make their way down the UK as well. And I think they are definitely had a breakout year.
Leighton Buzzard.
Yep.
ICW champion. Great year for him, becoming the ICW champion. You know, he's had a long trail at ICW, and he's finally really shown this year that he is a main event level talent, and he has broken out onto that scene, and for that reason, as breaking out as a main event level talent, he makes my number 5. My number 4, Leon Slater. You know, again, came out of absolutely nowhere, blew everyone away with incredible matches all across the country, joining up with man like the Reese, having that great match against Speedball Mike Bailey for Progress, having that great for Repro UK, having a great match against Konosuke Takeshita for Progress Wrestling, as well as a great match in North Wrestling NCL, becoming tag team champions alongside man like the Reese. And for that reason, Leon Slater was my number 4 breakout superstar male of the year.
Ooh, okay. My number 4 is Jack Morris. Jack Morris has managed to go international this year, convincingly. Jack Morris is stepping out from his tag team support system. And I think this year he has shown what he is going to be doing over the future of 2020s.
Now, the only reason he didn't make my top 5 list is because I just didn't feel he did enough in the UK. He gets an honourable mention in my international Brit Wres Superstar of the year, just missing out on a spot in the top 5 of the international Brit Wres Superstar of the year. So, but, yeah, I can certainly understand, given the reasons of what, that year in pro wrestling that he's had, beating the current champion, being the only person who defeated him during the M1 victory. Big matches against the current Nakajima very recently. He just had a huge match coming up on the Great Muta card, where Nakamura's going to face. He's facing Timmy Thatcher. So yeah, he's had an incredible year but I just didn't feel he did enough in the UK scene to justify.
I can understand, and I will respect that.
There we go. My number 3 pick is man like the Reese. Tag team champion at Progress, tag team champion at North NCL, becoming the champion over at Slam Master towards the end of the year, winning the Wrestle Carnival Championship end of the year, was all around the world. As you can see, my Badger agrees with me on all of these decisions here, and for that, yeah, he makes my number 3 breakout superstar of the year male.
He made my main list. Also, big shout out to man like Reese for his excellent merch game.
Yes, buy my merch.
Yep. My number 3, Tateness is greatness. Tate Mayfair's, what a year he's had.
MPS finalist, obviously, alongside Ricky Knight Jr., is the current holder of the TNT Ignition Power Up briefcase.
He was the Dubai heavyweight champion for a good few minutes.
Yeah, for the most prestigious reign that belt has ever had. Tate Mayfair's champion. Yeah, I can understand.
Had a great year in Rumble Wrestling as well.
Yes, that too. So I can absolutely 100% see why you put him there. Who was your number 2 pick?
Leighton Buzzard.
Leighton Buzzard. And my number 2 pick was the one and only spectacular twat, Mr. Charles Crowley.
Right, I can see why you put him in there.
Carnival champion of the for basically this entire year, only losing it on the final show of Wrestle Carnival. Defended it against Askel Tiska, against Scotty 2 Hottie, against Max the Impaler, and obviously just winning the championship by defeating Chris Ridgway. An incredible year for Progress Wrestling. I forgot about his defending the Wrestle Carnival Championship all the way in Germany against Big Guns Joe as part of the 16 Carat weekend. Debuts in Canada, and he's just somebody who's had an amazing year.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. My number one.
Right.
One
Yeah, go on then. You're number one.
is Leon Slater. I know you put him further down the list, but I think if you talk to any wrestling fan about who's had their breakout year this year, they'll say it's Leon Slater. He has come from nowhere to be on the GCW card in
Yeah.
America. He has come from nowhere to have everybody talking about him every match he has. He's got to be one of the most gifted wrestlers in the UK, as well as one of the most gifted. Um, he's so bloody young. He's great. I think Leon Slater has had the breakout year.
Now, if it weren't for the three guys that obviously I mentioned in front of him, he probably would have been my number one. Big Bird, man like Reese, who you put in the main. Obviously, I put as a breakout star, more as a main star of the UK wrestling scene. Of course, Charles Crowley as well. Just, I feel like just holding the championships just about nudged him out for me.
I'm genuinely interested in your number one. I'm actually really excited to find out who you think it is.
It's Luke Jacobs.
That makes sense.
He's
my wrestler of the year.
The only reason he's not in my wrestler in the year is just because I wanted to put him at number one. I thought to myself, I'd rather have him as my number one than in my honorable mentions or possibly my fifth male superstar of the year. I just thought he deserved to have a number one spot. And for me, that was the breakout superstar of the year. We mentioned it. Gone from being a tag team wrestler to a singles wrestler, winning Atlas Championship, winning RevPro UK Cruiser Championship for me. And those three guys are the only reasons why Leon Slater didn't quite make the number one spot for me. But of course, two of the guys I mentioned there, you had in your top. So that's the way it is sometimes. So honorable mentions: Danny Black, Just Joe Lando, Nico Angelo, Liam Slater, not Leon, Liam Slater, Scotty Rourke, and Daz Black.
I'd also like to mention 2-Bit in there. I think he's had a very, very good year. And Cameron Solis.
Yeah, no. Good. Okay. My number 5 women's breakout star of the year, LA Taylor. She made a huge splash with Progress Wrestling. I don't think there's ever been any woman that's getting a similar push to what she has been getting in Progress Wrestling. She just looks unstoppable. She deserves to look that way. She's an absolute Amazon of a women's warrior. She could power, speed, athleticism. It's all there. She just had a match against Camille Brick, for God's sake. So yeah, L.A. Taylor, Demolition Woman, number 5, breakout star of the year.
My number 5 might be a little biased because they're one of my local wrestlers, so I see them a lot. But I'd say Artemis. Artemis has appeared this year. She is absolutely great, 30-year-old, absolutely kicking all of the backsides around the Southeast. She's wrestled for 5 or 6 different companies, I believe now. A part of the Meme Team. And yeah, I really think Artemis has had a great year so far.
Okay, excellent. Your number 4 pick.
Lucia Lee. Has done a hell of a lot over the North scene and has been working her way further down as well, has a good social media presence, and has been having some great matches. So yeah, Lucia Lee.
I've gone with Sky Smithson. She's an incredible performer who started to shine in Progress. Has had great matches all across the Southeast, London, and I think she's a phenomenal performer. She was also the World War Wrestling Women's Champion for a long period. And for that reason, I really just, Sky Smithson, breakout.
Yep.
2 members of the LA Taylor squad, the Lana Austin Experience in progress as well.
Yep. My number 3 is Laurie. Now, Laurie, again, is a wrestler who I didn't know at the beginning of the year. Saw her live for the first time, and then had to go out of my way to find more of their matches. Excuse me while I die here. Laurie is a hard-hitting German MMA style, kick all of the arse, take all of the names wrestler. And I think that they came, as I said, from somewhere I've not heard of, had a great year. They are entertaining to watch. They have had mixed matches. They've had one-on-ones. They've been part of tags. I think they've had a really good year.
My number 3 is Rio, because she is, not she's come out of nowhere this year, but she's really stepped it up another level this year. She looks like she could be a main event competitor in any promotion across the UK right now. Has competed for Pro Wrestling Eve, for the Tokyo Joshi Pro International Women's title, as well as a couple of other matches out there. I think she's been phenomenal all year. My number 3 pick is Rio.
Okay, well, my number 2 is Sky Smithson, for all the reasons you said.
My number 2 is Angel Hayes.
Nice choice.
Started the year as ICW champion. Obviously made her way over to NXT UK this year. Yes, as trainee and enhancement talent, but still made it over to there. Had a great year with TNT Extreme Wrestling, first alongside Lizzie Evo as the Liver Birds, but now as the 3rd member of the She-Wolves over there. So, yeah, Angel Hayes made my number 2.
Who's your number 1?
Alexis Falcon.
Nice choice.
Alexis Falcon. I think she's had a great year, especially as the TNT Extreme Women's Champion. She's had great matches. Charles Crowley over with TNT Extreme, and she's been a focal point of progress for a lot of the year as well. So, yeah, for that reason, I'm going to go with Alexis Falcon. I think has had a bit of a breakout year.
Oh, God, I'm almost tempted to change mine now. Oh, God. Because you see, I hadn't selected them.
But you would knock
I'm doing
off.
it. No, I'm doing it. I'm agreeing with you. It's Alexis Falcon, and the person I had is going to go into my honourable mentions because Alexis Falcon has had the best year. You're right. I completely didn't think about it, and you are correct.
3 honourable mentions would be Tonga, Mercedes Blaze, and Gia Adams.
My honourable mentions would be Gia Adams, Harley Hudson, and yeah. I'm just going to put some more light on him here. Give me 1 second.
He needs more light. Right. We are on to who to look out for 2023 male superstar. And my number 5 is Riley Nova.
Ooh.
Joseph Connor's trained wrestler. He's 6'3". He looks like a stud. He's just absolutely fantastic. He's gonna have a great year in 2023.
Now, most of my ones in this are actually fairly established wrestlers that I just think are going to have a phenomenal year, except for my number 5, which is Lance Rivera.
Ooh.
Lance isn't as well known as the others that are on my list, but I think that 2023 is going to be his year.
Lance Rivera has been making a name for himself all of this year, and particularly with Wrestle Island, where he became the Wrestle Island champion, but Odyssey Pro Wrestling, TNT Ignition matches, PEW, Phenomenal Elite Wrestling matches. Yeah, I can definitely see that. And that is exactly why he is my number 4 pick. The Playboy Prince, Lance Rivera. Your number 4.
My number 4 is a man who has had a good 2022, but I think 2023 will be the year they take over everywhere. It's Charles Crowley.
Well, he just made my breakout superstar, so yep, I absolutely can't deny the fact that he could have a great year. I don't expect to see him wrestling in the UK much in 2023.
I know he's got a lot coming up with his new movie coming out. I think we're going to see a complete change in him. I think we're going to see a character arc coming through, and I think it's going to be a big year.
My number 3 pick is Ian Skinner.
Nice.
We've always been big fans of him. He had a great year this year. I wouldn't say he had a breakout year, but I think he could have a breakout year in 2023, in particular with Soft Pro Wrestling, but also with ICW as well. Wrestle Carnival, I probably will see him in amongst there as well. And along with Hammerlock Wrestling as well, I think we'll probably put a bit of stock in Ian Skinner, but I'd hope to see him break out in a few more promotions next year. North Wrestling NCL will be another.
I reckon he's going to make Japan next year.
Maybe. Very, very.
I reckon he's going to make Japan next year. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I reckon he'll make Japan next year.
Who did you go for, number 3?
Alexander Roth. Now, Alexander Roth has been very, very good as part of the 8-7.
Mm-hmm. We've lost him. So apparently Alexander Roth has been very good as part of the 8-7, which he has. He's had a fantastic year. He's also been the UKPW British champion. And I'd say Sopro, I expect him to be doing lots of big things alongside the 8-7 tag team partner Roy Johnson in the Soft Pro, but also got to be part of a Natural Progression Series qualifier. So yeah, Alexander Roth is an excellent pick.
Thank you.
Excellent. My number 2 pick. Now, the only reason he's actually not in probably upper list is because he was injured for most of it, and that is Craig Anthony.
Nice.
He is a guy that's only just come back for ICW towards the end of this year. Obviously, big feud with Kez Evans. He is a absolute phenomenal natural born superstar, in my opinion, and he's going to have a huge year for 2023. So yeah, and that's he probably wouldn't be considered for this list had he not been injured. But because he was injured throughout a lot of this year, I'm saying Craig Anthony is about to just burst onto the scene 2023.
My number 2 is there for the same reason.
Okay.
Ethan Allen.
Ethan Allen, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Look at what has happened while he's been injured. When he comes back, he is going to have a chip on his shoulder bigger than you can imagine. That man is going to come, and if you're in his way, God help you.
Yeah, tag team champion in every promotion next year. The Young Guns, Ethan Allen and Luke Jacobs. It's the only way you can do it. Just have them become tag team champions in every promotion across the UK. Right. Who is your number 1 pick?
Same as last year.
It's probably going to be the same as my number 1 pick then.
Warren Banks.
Ooh, no, he's not. Yeah, I could see why you've definitely gone for him. Obviously injured from a mid part of the year onwards. So definitely could come back for 2023, and because if it hadn't been for that injury, he would probably been either on our breakout or main star of the year lists. But because he did pick up that injury, I can see my number 1 for to look out for in 2023 is probably the same as last year, which is Callum Newman. He got a little bit eclipsed by one Leon Slater, who has just broke out and just kind of stole that mantle of that young superstar who could do everything. But I've been watching both of them very closely in the ring for a long time, and it just takes the company to get behind Newman. I believe Leon Slater is much more confident in himself, and I think that's given him the edge this year. But Callum Newman is so creative in that ring. He is one of the most creative wrestlers in any ring. Some of the different types of springboards that he's come up with, the fact that he made the Canadian Destroyer actually look amazing once again after it being bastardized and just overused. He did something that he delivered the Canadian Destroyer like nobody else has done before, and for that reason, but also just his springboards, his everything about him. Callum Newman
has reached the point where he needs a story.
Yeah.
Newman he's got everything wrestling needs. He really has. What he needs now is somebody, please give him a story, give him something arcing, let him work from that.
Yeah, I think he's maybe just been slightly eclipsed by one Leon Slater, and I think, yeah, you're right. I 100% think it just needs to be his match against Go-Go this year was absolutely fantastic.
Beautiful
Really,
match.
really. I mean, he pulled an excellent match out of Anthony Go-Go, who can have a good match, but he pulled an excellent match out of Anthony Go-Go, and...
But the problem is, again, this is what I'm saying. They're solo standalone matches. He's got to have a storyline now. Give us something so we can care about him as the human as well as him as the amazing wrestler.
He also maybe just needs a little bit more belief in himself as well, because he is just bloody incredible. He is such a humble young guy who just likes having fun in wrestling. He really needs to see himself as the star that he could be, kind of like the way Leon, he sees himself as a star. And to say that, for me, has probably been the reason he jumped Callum Newman in position. I think Callum Newman, if he can get that similar belief in himself, there's absolutely no limit. Absolutely no limit. Honorable mentions: Tommy Carl, Smashing Mike, Levi Muir, George Lydon. Anyone else you'd like to?
All of them and the Rebellion.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. It is the top 5 to look out for 2023 women's division. Number 5,
go on, man.
Aurora Tevez. She's bloody absolute spark in that ring. She's amazing. She does some great things. She's gonna have an amazing 2023 against just companies needing to put that belief behind her.
And she's actually my number 4.
Nice.
My number 5 is Aluna Blue.
Good, great pick.
Aluna Blue just coming through. Great personality, great look, willing to learn, willing to follow everybody through. People get behind her and fall in love with her as soon as they see her. Go on, let's see Aluna Blue go forward.
Indeed, absolutely killing it in the Southwest region. Sapphire Reed has my number 4, made her Repro UK debut this year, became the UKPW Inter-Regional Champion, dethroning Danny Black. They've got a rematch coming up soon. That's going to be excellent. Go check that out. And yeah, she's going to be a superstar. She's got that mean mug face. Like, you don't want to mess with her. So absolutely for me. My number 3 is Aluna Blue.
Oh, nice one. Okay. Well, yep. My number 3 is Ronnie Knox.
Excellent pick.
Good, strong, hard-hitting wrestler. Great look. Nasty personality. The kind of face that really, really wants to let you know that if you mess with them, they are going to knock you out. And I think Ronnie Knox is going to be one to watch.
Excellent. your number 4 was a Luna, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. My number 2 pick is Chantel Jordan. Probably would have been higher up on some of the other lists had she not had a few injuries that kept her from really breaking out this year. So 100%, I think she will break out next year. Legitimate kickboxing background, absolutely looks like she'll kick your head off, will kick your head off, and don't get in her way.
Same for me. Number 2 is Chantel Jordan.
My number 1 is Harley Hudson.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
She is the Scouse Mouse powerhouse, 9 stone of Scouse power. Obviously made a big splash in that northwest scene right now, but really beginning to start breaking out all across the UK, even in London. So
really did a great job keeping herself relevant through her injury as well by doing commentary, making sure she was still there, still being seen, and still out there. So yeah, great work.
Absolutely.
My number 1 is Tonga. 2022 has not been as kind to Tonga as it should have been. Tonga should have held more championships this year.
Yeah.
Tonga should have been in more places than they were this year. And I think that next year, Tonga is going to be going for everything. And they will not let
I think next year's going to be harder than most. And I think it's going to be next year. It's about some performers making sure that their promotion is the number 1 promotion in the UK. Because there's a lot of new released NXT UK performers out there now. It's going to be really, really difficult to branch all across the UK. So make your region your own might be your best option.
It's funny you say that because my honourable mention is Ginny. Because if Ginny does step away from WWE, she is technically still signed.
She's still signed for the WWE, and I don't see her coming free. I don't.
You don't reckon?
At a bare minimum, they've got her, and it's slotted in for NXT Europe. At a second bare minimum, they're going to keep her close to Walter because don't forget she.
I understand that, but they're doing nothing with her.
I think she's been out injured for a long, long time, and I think it's going to be coming back from injury. But of course, as I say, there's NXT Europe, and she would be a great focal point for NXT Europe. I think she'll be one. I don't think the released talents are going to be part of NXT Europe. I believe the ones that are still there, still signed to WWE, are going to be the ones in NXT Europe. And I believe the rest of them will be filled up with European wrestlers like Mel, who technically would account. But so yeah, honorable mentions: Natalie Sykes for me. I had Lucia Lee, but you had her as a breakout. Maya Matthews from Repro UK, Echo Reed, and Leah Raven.
Nice collection. Leah Raven, definitely.
Yeah. Right. Promotion of the year.
This wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be.
It wasn't, and it was in a way.
I'm sure we're going to have different ones.
Okay, so my number 5 is TNT Extreme Wrestling. Great weekend with GCW, of course. Had some excellent standout single shows as well. Cardiff show, but yeah, for me, they would be my number 5.
Okay, my number 5 is Pro Wrestling Eve. Possibly one of the biggest international companies that we have in the UK. They have been absolutely everywhere across Japan. They are well known across the UK. They have been putting on regular shows in London. They do it in a brilliant way, having it half for free on YouTube and half on pay-per-view. I think they've had a great year from match quality wise and from people they've brought in. Pro Wrestling Eve makes my number 5.
They make my number 4 promotion. Fantastic. For every single one of those reasons, as you say, Pro Wrestling Eve, talents going all across Japan, great matches, brought in some excellent international talent, some great performers in their ranks, and yeah, I would 100%.
My number 4 is ICW. I haven't been as in love with their storylines this year as I was last year. But I still think they've been putting on brilliant regular shows. They are one of the few companies that is putting on a storyline-led weekly show, virtually weekly show. And that's why I put ICW at number 4.
And I put them at number 3.
Ah.
So, there you go. Who did you put number 3?
Rev Pro. Rev Pro get my number 3 for the incredible quality of matches they've been putting on, which they have. The reason they only make number 3 is because the storylines for me haven't been there in comparison with the other 2 companies that I put ahead of them. I don't feel they've given as many stories throughout the time. And they're pretty shit at booking female talent. And that is why I will only give them number 3.
You're certainly 100% right about the women's. They are, bar the fact of obviously making Alex Windsor their champion, they have been pretty dog shy of not particularly having more than a singles match. 2 if you're really, really lucky. And I can see why you deserve to be punishing for that. Storylines, though, I can't truly agree. Michael Oku, Will Ospreay story was one of the best in British wrestling. Will Ospreay RKJ story was again one of the best in British wrestling. Luke Jacobs becoming the cruiserweight champion. Robbie X winning the
Luke Jacobs becoming the cruiserweight champion. What was the story there?
What was the story there?
Yeah.
Is he was the only one that could dethrone Michael Oku.
But that's not a story.
He earned his title shots, and then at Summer Sizzler had honestly one of the top 10 matches of the year.
Yeah, he did.
In an incredible story-driven match. And then the story of it being the whole thing was, I'm Luke Jacobs, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, and I will destroy you, Michael Oku. Stop running from me.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
That was the story before the show as well. You know,
Rev Pro have had the matches, but I've not had a storyline that's gone from show to show that I thought, oh, what's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with this? I've just had some banger matches.
You know, you've got Michael Oku against the Legion. It was a story throughout. RKJ then took Michael Oku's place and just had the very same thing against the United Empire, and of course Will Ospreay overarching for most of the calendar year as well. Robbie X finally get into his hallowed place, which he deserves as being one of the best cruiserweights in the world, winning that Super J Cup. So seeing his trials and tribulations of coming back from injury, looking better than ever. Robbie X. No, I can't see this where you're coming from the stories. I've loved the Rev Pro UK stories. They just been there for me. So my number 2 company is Progress Wrestling.
My number 2 company is Progress Wrestling.
My number 1 company is Rev Pro UK.
My number 1 company is TNT.
Where are the stories? Where are the stories?
There's been a lot of stories as far as the hardcore division goes. There's been a lot of stories as far as bringing through the GCW storyline. There has been a lot of people chasing Dan Maloney. But stories-wise, I think stories is more Progress, which I think we should discuss in a moment. But TNT have done, and the reason I've given them number 1, TNT have taken the place that they are at and they have lifted companies that are below them by bringing them into their shows. They have found the smaller companies and they've given them a platform. And they have taken international companies and brought them on board using the NWA champions, using GCW to try and lift themselves up. TNT are trying to make Brit Wres international and trying to lift up the people within Brit Wres. They're doing their best with that. They're going across the UK now. They've got shows booked in Birmingham next year. They've got shows down in Wales. There'll be more shows going across the UK during the course of the year. They have worked hard with their existing talent while bringing new talent in. They haven't sold anybody out. even when they've brought in bigger names, it's always been to platform the people that they've got, not just we've got Matt Cardona. What they did with Matt Cardona in that match that he had, let's be honest, you and I were both like, oh goody, it's Cardona. Who gives a toss? He's a bit of a knob the way he's been dealing with people. The match he had with man like DeReiss was brilliant. And that had a storyline running up to it. You were singing that pussy old song for hours.
Look, that wasn't a great rap, but no, I love TNT Extreme. I think they've done a great job, but for me, yeah, they were really fighting hard to get that number 5 spot for me, and the only reason they really got the number 5 spot for me was because of the GCW free weekend shows. They're great and I love them, and they do amazing for women's wrestling. By far, for a mixed promotion, by far the best promotion for women's wrestling in the UK.
Yes, 100%.
Bar Pro Wrestling Eve, of course. But as a mixed show, they do far more for women's wrestling than any other promotion. But yeah, I can't, when I look at, which we'll be discussing in a moment, the top shows and the top performers and the top matches, I can't look past Rev Pro UK. They've had the best shows, they've had the best matches, and for me, I fully 100% disagree. They've had the best stories as well.
Okay.
And
I think best stories over the line over the year.
Like I say, the progress. The only real story is Spike Trivet. Can somebody beat Spike Trivet? After he defeated Cara Noir, which was very early on in the year, that was a big storyline. But where have the big? I felt like progress haven't.
The Gene Money, Jonathan Gresham. That was a big storyline.
Not on what I feel like we're talking about a story, and yeah, I feel they've had some great shows. They've definitely 100% easily been the number 2, but for me, where Rev Pro UK are number 1, they are probably a long way up in number 1. Progress have got so much catching up to do next year to catch Rev Pro UK again. Over this year for 2022.
We can agree to disagree, but I'm going to stick with TNT as my number 1. And I didn't even mention the fact that you pointed out how they are an incredibly good place for diversity within wrestling. So yeah, there's that as well.
You're right. New promotion of the year. I've gone with Catch Pro in at number 5.
New promotion of the year. I've gone with Jurassic Pro.
Nice. JPW based down in Harwich, over in Essex. Catch Pro Manchester promotion, have been around, just coming up. They wouldn't be allowed to be picked for next year in new promotions, but this year they can keep their space. And for me, they've been very consistent.
They have. They made
for
my
that reason, go with it. And my number 4 goes to Wrestle Carnival.
Oh.
Continue
I
to
will be mentioning them later.
Very consistent throughout the year. So yeah, Wrestle Carnival, consistent, great shows again. Would just like to have seen a few more shows from them.
Yes, but I will discuss that with you when I get to them.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Did you do your number 4?
I did. My number 4 was Catch.
Yes. Your number 3.
Soft Pro. I'm going to give them number 3 after only 1 show. I know it's a big thing to do.
My number 3 is Soft Pro.
I know it's a big thing to do to give that after 1 show, but they did it well.
They have. They built up to it for a long time. They made amazing use of social media. They continue to make amazing use of social media. The show itself was fantastic, and yeah, so I agree with you. They've got 6 shows planned for next year, and I think hopefully on to bigger and better things.
What's your number 2?
I've gone with Coliseum Wrestling. They ran 2 shows last year, but everything I saw from them, coming out of them, heard from people who were there at their shows, the fact that they're trying to do wrestling just that little bit different as well, made them my number 2 pick.
I went with Riot Pro for pretty much exactly the same reasons.
I went with Riot Pro as my number 1 pick.
I went with Wrestle Carnival as my number 1 pick.
There we go. So that's Wrestle Carnival twice in a year for you.
Yep.
So, but other companies that could have Phenomenal Elite Wrestling, PEW, 1PW, Modern Nomad, Creation Pro, and Purpose Wrestling.
Yeah.
All
Good
made my
companies.
honorable mentions. Right. Matches of the year.
I think we should save that till the very end. I think we should probably do
Show?
show or our internationals and then save the matches to the very end.
I would have thought international should be at the end.
Okay, I will follow your suggestion then.
Okay, we can do shows first.
Got
We'll
it.
do shows and then we'll do matches. Right. I went with Rev Pro UK High Stakes.
I went with Rev Pro UK High Stakes.
Oh, wait, sorry, they were my number 1. Rev Pro Day 1. Anniversary show Day 1 was my number 5, sorry.
Rev Pro High Stakes was my number 5.
My number 4 was Rev Pro Anniversary Day 2.
My number 4 was Wet Cake Pro Wrestling. You had to be there, but my God, it was good.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that 100%. So yeah, Anniversary Day 2. My number 4 was Super Strong Style Day 3.
Yep, no, that was good. Great fun.
Your number 3?
My number 3 was Super Strong Style Day 2.
My number 2 was Super Strong Style Day 2.
My number 2 was an entire weekender. It was TNT versus GCW weekender.
No, I'm not sure if I can give you that.
Well, you're going to be in trouble because my number 1's a weekender as well.
Gonna be in trouble then. My number 1 show is High Stakes.
My number 1 show is the Progress Atlas weekender. You could buy a ticket for the weekend. It's a show.
Yeah, no, but for me, Rev Pro UK High Stakes, which you put at number 5, for me, every show on that match.
Every match on that show, even.
Yeah, so yeah, every match on that show, from Michael Oku, Will Ospreay, of course, which was a Dave Meltzer 5-star, was a 5-star from me. You had Shota Umino versus Yota Tsuji in a fantastic clash. It was just a Alex Coughlin, Dan Maloney versus Callum Newman was extremely good. Alex Windsor versus Charlie Evans, excellent. Ricky Knight Jr. versus Luke Jacobs, amazing. Gabriel Kidd versus Francesco Akira could have made my top 5 matches. Didn't quite, but it was there. Sunshine Machine versus Aussie Open, and then as we said, main event Will Ospreay versus you. Great show.
You know what? It got my number 5. I can totally understand it given your number 1. I think it was absolutely brilliant show and worthy of being up there. The Progress Atlas weekender, there was a phenomenal level of talent available. There was great matches. There was personality. There was story. It's everything I like in wrestling, and that's why I gave it my thing. I didn't realise you wanted singulars. I thought I could get away with the weekender, but I will know for next year.
Well, if I was going to do weekenders, I'll just quickly do weekenders then. TNT Extreme GCW at number 5. the Rev Pro UK anniversary at number 4. No, the Atlas week. No, so number 5 would be the Atlas weekend. Then it would be the Rev Pro UK. No, 5 would be GCW. 4 would be the Atlas weekend. 3 would be the anniversary Rev Pro UK. The Super Strong Style 16 in at number 2, and WXW's World Tag Team Festival in at number 1.
Well, seeing as I cheated, you might as well cheat.
It just absolutely destroyed all of those other ones.
You
the
might
World
as
Tag
well
Team
cheat
Festival.
and have a non-Brit rest, seeing as I cheated and had a weekend.
If I was gonna pick my weekend, yeah, WXW. Oh, and actually, the 16 carat would actually probably knock a couple of the other ones down off their spot. It would knock GCW off. It would not
I will
GCW
allow
off.
you to have your German ones.
It would be number 2, 1 and 2 would both be. It would be the 16 carat number 2 and World Tag Team Festival at number 1.
Right.
Then Super Strong Style, then Rev Pro, then Atlas, and yes,
God, we've been
GCW
chatting away for a while. This is going to be a long podcast, but I'm really excited for the next one. Let's see how many of these we've got the same.
Matches.
Okay.
Number 5.
I'm going to let you know one thing straight away. Will Ospreay's not on any of mine.
Okay, I'm gonna let you know straight away.
Kenny Omega.
He's on 2. Will Ospreay is on 2 of my matches. You can probably guess at which 2 they are. But at number 5, Luke Jacobs versus Robbie X from Rev Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, just it was they had quite a few different matches. I think they had trilogy series at the end of the day. Pick any one of them. Yep. Honestly.
Luke Jacobs makes number 5 in a Rev Pro show. Luke Jacobs versus Akira Tozawa.
Francisco Akira,
sorry.
Yeah.
Francisco Akira at St. Neots that you and I watched in January.
Yeah, absolutely banging.
That was a great match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember sitting next to you and just saying, where the hell's the rest of this year going to go?
And then they repeated it at during the anniversary night 1, day 1 show, and absolutely killed it again. So
Akira versus Luke Jacobs is my first one. So Luke makes both of our first ones.
Yeah. And my number 4 is Chris Ridgway versus Warren Banks from the Super Strong Style 16 Day 3 final.
Good choice.
I think if Warren Banks hadn't gone off and gotten injured, it would have been a breakout moment for him. But it was certainly Chris Ridgway's thing. And when he's got somebody like Warren Banks who had the entire crowd behind him at the time, you know, everybody just willing him on to win. But Chris Ridgway was relentless, and he did not let him have it. And he destroyed so many hopes, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was a beautifully done match, and it didn't make my top 5, and it should have done. It was brilliant.
It's my number 4.
My number 4 is Yota Tsuji versus Gabriel Kidd from Wrestle Carnival. Never
slap
before
the crap out of each other
have I seen 2 men slap the crap out of each other so much. Every time you just wanted to go, stop, he's already dead. He hit him a bit harder. This match was, I can imagine if you watched it back on iPay-per-view, the Patreon site, it probably wouldn't be as good as if you were there. It would literally just be watching 2 blokes slapping each other hard. But when you were there in person, and the commitment and the support the crowd were giving, it was special. What did you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely great match. It was one of my favorite matches of the year. It's in my honorable mentions, along with the Akira Luke Jacobs match you mentioned, and Francisco Akira versus Gabriel Kidd from Refro UK also made the list. I've got number 3, Spike Gervais versus Cara Noir.
Save that. We'll talk about it later.
So that is my number 3 match. Who's your number 3?
Giselle Shaw versus Kanji from Super Strong Style 16.
Yeah.
One of Giselle's last matches in the UK. Kanji was a complete standout. Great match. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just going to go for my number 2 and 1. And it is basically number 2.
Yep.
Is Will Ospreay versus RKJ from Red Pro Anniversary, Day 2 main event. Dave Meltzer gave it 5 stars. I gave it 5 stars. It was an incredible match. It was one of the best British wrestling matches of the year. Only beaten out by Michael Oku versus Will Ospreay slightly earlier in the year at High Stakes. Again, you know, going from the stories that went into those matches to the matches themselves to the matches that were told during the story of the match, you can't beat those 2 matches. So yeah, 2 and 1. I mean, there's a reason Meltzer gave them 5 stars, and they're the only 2 UK matches to get 5 stars
because they happened at York Hall.
Yeah. Well, no, you only get a 5-star if you're at York Hall, and it's only because he gave them to those 2.
Okay.
Go
My
on,
number
then.
2 was Luke Jacobs versus Axel Tiska from FNW. Again, it's a match that not so many people would have seen. But Luke and Axel just battered each other in this match. It was absolutely brilliant. It was strikes, it was suplexes. Axel Tiska was just his absolute best in this match. Luke Jacobs was throwing everything he had at him and won. And nobody saw that coming. It was a brilliant match. And if you can find a way of watching it, go out of your way to watch it. My number 1 was Spike Trivet versus Sin Cara. Cara Noir. I'm on fire today. This is what happens when you drink 3.5 whiskeys in the middle of your podcast. Merry Christmas. Yeah, Spike versus Cara.
I mean, it was an incredible match, absolutely. And if it had not been the fact that Will Ospreay put 2 5-star matches on in the UK, it probably would have been the number 1. But the fact that Will Ospreay was there to do 2 matches in the UK and hit those 5-star matches, and just, as I say, story-wise.
Can I give an honourable mention to a match that doesn't technically count as a Brit Wres match, but happened in the UK?
What's that one?
FTR versus Aussie Open.
Yeah, why not? Honorable mentions: Luke Jacobs, Francesco Akira versus Gabriel Kidd. Gabriel Kidd versus Mark Haskins from North Wrestling NCL. Alex Windsor and Kylie Ray at Rev Pro UK.
Angel Hayes and Lizzie Evo versus She Wolves at TNT versus GCW, night 1. And what match did I really enjoy this year? Stone Cold ET versus Truman Roswell. A little bit of We may have come out during that match. Could I also give a shout out to my referee of the year?
Referee of the year, go for it.
My referee of the year this year will be James Greenwood. Again, he has been here, there, and everywhere. I've had the pleasure of meeting him a few times. He is lovely. I think that he has even had some storyline this year with Giles Crowley. He's refereed over 1,500 matches this year.
Wow.
Big shout out to James Greenwood.
Okay, quickly, top 5 refereeing. Scott Bell at number 5, Chris Hatchin at number 4, referee LK in at number 3, Oscar Harden in at number 2, and as you mentioned, James Greenwood would be the number 1. So there you go, quick 5. Right, finally, Brit Wres International Male of the Year. And for, just so you know, we encountered anyone who's closely related to Brit Wres for the International Superstars of the Year. We had to because of the women's side of things. We need more British women to get out there next year, so please do. But we'll start with the male. I'm just going to quickly run down my 5 to 1. Chris Brooks in at number 5, Zack Sabre Jr. in at number 4, Walter in at number 3, Pac in at number 2, and Will Ospreay in at number 1.
Okay. Joe Hendry in at number 5, Chris Brooks at number 4, Sheamus at number 3, had a 5-star match, Pac at number 2, Will Ospreay at number 1.
I like the fact that we both went Pac and Walter. I like the fact that our number 3s were both in that 5-star match that you mentioned. It was Walter versus Sheamus. Zack Sabre Jr. probably also had his best year for New Japan this year for me. And big match against Claudio Castagnoli, which he lost.
Yeah.
But Chris Brooks, also DDT producer, tag team champion, and went over to WXW.
And that's why I mentioned him as well, because I know he has had just an absolutely phenomenal year. Women, shall I go first?
Honourable mentions: Jack Morris, Chris Ridgway, Gabriel Kidd.
Yep, agree with all those. The ladies.
You go first this time.
Miyu Yamashita, Rhea Ripley, Giselle Shaw, Jamie Hayter, and Becky Lynch.
I'm going to give you my start just for one reason. It's the fact that she is a current champion right now in thing, but just about give it to you. So
I knew I was clutching at that one.
5 Rhea Ripley, 4 Giselle Shaw, 3 Becky Lynch, 2 Toni Storm, number 1 Jamie Hayter.
I'm glad I got to see Jamie Hayter live this year as well.
Because she is just bloody amazing, and it's about time they put the title on her. She's had the best AEW women's matches, especially her match against Toni Storm, who was my number 2.
Okay, tag teams is going to be interesting. You can go first on this one.
I didn't actually do an international tag team.
Okay, well, I'll go very quickly then. Brawling Brutes, Grizzled Young Veterans with their shit name now. Pretty Deadly, Death Triangle, Aussie Open. You don't
Pretty
need to
Deadly, Aussie Open.
Don't go Velocities, it's too easy.
Velocities would be like number 5. So number 5, and then I guess it would be Brawling Brutes in at number 4.
Stinger.
GYV, I guess, at number 3. Pretty Deadly in at number 2, and Aussie Open at number 1. So there we go.
Aussie Open have to be number 1.
With that said, as I say, we've got an amazing year to look out for. So keep an eye out for everything coming this year from our first show, showing everything coming up in January. We've got our special draft coming up. Go check out my recent interview with the CPF boys, Callum Newman, Maverick Mayhew, and all the wrestling. Just remember, support British wrestling, support independent wrestling, support European wrestling. Just support wrestling and don't feed the trolls.